Imagine waking up one morning to find out that your best friend, the person you trusted the most, has betrayed you. Now, picture this happening not just to a person, but to a great explorer leading a fleet of ships on a dangerous journey across the unknown seas. This is exactly what happened to Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese explorer, on a dark night during one of the most daring expeditions in history. The betrayal came from the very people he had chosen to lead the fleet, and it almost ended the mission before it could prove its worth. This is the story of how Magellan faced this crisis, and through his cunning and determination, managed to turn the tables on his mutinous crew. It was the year 1520, and Magellan was leading a fleet of 5 ships on a mission to find a western route to the Spice Islands, a journey that would eventually circumnavigate the globe. The crew was made up of a mix of Portuguese and Spanish sailors, but the top command was largely in the hands of Spanish nobles. These men, including Juan de Cartagena, Antonio de Coca, and Gaspar de Quesada, were from noble families and had been chosen to lead the expedition because of their status and connection. However, as the journey progressed, tensions began to rise. The Spanish nobles, who were used to a life of luxury and respect, found the harsh conditions and Magellan's strict leadership difficult to bear. They began to question Magellan's decisions and his authority. One night, under the cover of darkness, these nobles decided to take matters into their own hands. They launched a mutiny, hoping to seize control of the fleet and change the course of the journey. They chose to target the largest ship, the San Antonio, which was now under the command of Magellan's cousin, Álvaro de Mesquita. The mutineers, led by Quesada, rowed silently to the ship and quickly overpowered Mesquita and his crew. They locked Mesquita in the purser's cabin and took control of the ship. The mutiny was swift and at first bloodless. However, when Mesquita's officers tried to intervene, one of them, Juan de Oloriaga, was brutally killed, marking the first violent act of the rebellion. The next morning, Magellan, unaware of the mutiny, continued his routine. He sent a boat ashore to collect supplies, as was the daily custom. When the boat reached the San Antonio, the crew found no one to help them, and were told that the ship was now under the command of Gaspar de Quesada, who no longer recognized Magellan's authority. The news was quickly relayed back to the flagship, the Trinidad, where Magellan was still unaware of the full extent of the rebellion. Magellan, known for his calm and collected demeanor, did not panic. He quickly assessed the situation and realized that he was in a difficult position. The mutineers now controlled 3 of the 5 ships, and the remaining 2, the Trinidad and the Santiago, were no match for the combined forces of the rebels. However, Magellan was not one to give up easily. He decided to take immediate action to regain control of the fleet. Magellan's first move was to send a boat to the other ships, demanding their loyalty. The Victoria and the Concepcion, both under the command of Spanish nobles, refused to pledge their allegiance. Only the Santiago, commanded by the loyal Spanish captain Juan Serrano, remained on Magellan's side. This meant that Magellan had the support of only one ship, and the situation seemed dire. However, Magellan's experience and strategic mind began to work in his favor. The mutineers, despite their initial success, were not as confident as they appeared. They sent a letter to Magellan, written in the most formal and respectful language, asking for better treatment and more information about the mission. This letter revealed their weakness despite their noble birth. They lacked the courage and resolve to confront Magellan directly. Magellan saw this as an opportunity and decided to act quickly and decisively. He knew that the mutineers expected him to try to retake the San Antonio, the largest ship, but he chose a different approach. Instead, he targeted the Victoria, the ship commanded by the less formidable Luis de Mendoza. Magellan organized a counterattack using 2 longboats. The first boat, led by Duarte Barbosa, was larger and carried 15 heavily armed men. The second boat, led by Gonzalo Gomez de Espinosa, the fleet's master-at-arms, was smaller and carried only 5 men. The plan was for Gomez to create a diversion, while Barbosa and his men sneaked around the ship and launched a surprise attack. Gomez approached the Victoria, claiming to have a message from Magellan. The ship's crew, thinking they were safe, allowed Gomez to board. Once on deck, Gomez and his men quickly overpowered the crew, creating the necessary distraction. Meanwhile, Barbosa and his team, using the cover of fog, quietly made their way to the ship's lee side and launched their attack. The mutineers were caught off guard, and the Victoria was quickly retaken. The recapture of the Victoria was a turning point in the crisis. It demonstrated Magellan's leadership and strategic thinking, and it boosted the morale of his loyal supporters. The mutineers, now realizing that Magellan was not as vulnerable as they thought, began to lose confidence. Magellan used this opportunity to consolidate his position and negotiate with the remaining mutineers. In the end, Magellan managed to regain control of the fleet. He showed leniency to some of the mutineers, but he also made examples of the leaders to prevent future rebellions. Juan de Cartagena and Gaspar de Quesada were eventually tried and executed for their roles in the mutiny. This crisis, while a significant setback, ultimately strengthened Magellan's leadership and the cohesion of the crew. The expedition continued, and despite numerous challenges, it eventually achieved its goal of circumnavigating the globe. The story of Magellan's confrontation with the mutineers is a testament to his leadership, strategic thinking, and unwavering determination. It shows that even in the face of betrayal and adversity, a strong and capable leader can overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. Magellan's actions during this crisis not only saved the expedition, but also ensured that it would go down in history as one of the greatest maritime achievements of all time.